Welcome to the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase podcast. It's a limited series for the Echo Community Podcast Network by Story Studio Network and Clark Communications. We highlight the influential voices, partners, and leaders who are driving innovation, research, and development, creating new market opportunities and new ways of doing business in the mining industry.
The Echo Community Network is on location at PDAC 2024, and joining us is Larry Fisher. Larry Fisher is with Cementation Canada. He's a project manager with Onaping Depth. First of all, Larry, welcome to the show. Exciting time for mining.
Yeah, it's really exciting times right now. Yeah, it's a lot of people here. Good to see a lot of people from the past and future here, hopefully.
It's like an old school reunion. You get to see all the people you've been coming up through the ranks with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, seen quite a few people from years ago. So,
Larry, tell us a little bit about Onaping Depth. Most recently, Cementation has broken another record, and it is the deepest shaft that has been developed in the Sudbury Basin.
Yes, we completed down to 2,635 meters deep at a 6.8 meter completed shaft diameter. It's a pretty impressive work of art when you get down there. It's a long way down, it's hot, and we went through some very adverse ground conditions to get to the bottom, but yeah, it's finally we can say that the sinking is complete.
So cementation is known throughout the industry for its standards when it comes to safety, and it's non-negotiable. Can you explain a little bit about the incredible engineering that has to take place to drop a shaft that deep, plus making sure that integrated, that is safety protocols that everybody's going home at the end of their shift? Yeah,
so the engineering, just like on the design of the underground head frame, the underground hoisting plant, the factors of safety involved in all that stuff, equates to huge, big pieces of steel being erected underground, and they had to come down an external shaft, so they have to come down one shaft, get transported to another work area, get all put in together. So it's not like a surface head frame that they could stand a crane up and pull out everything in. This stuff all had to come in and be, the planning to get, rigging and all these big pieces of steel to get in to make it go as smoothly as it did is quite an impressive feat of engineering for sure.
When you got into this industry, when you started your engineering career, could you imagine that you're doing projects of this scale at this depth with this type of engineering?
No, this is twice as deep as anything I'd ever been in before. And when I was a young kid coming into mining, the deepest mine I'd been in was 2,800 feet below the surface, not 2,600 meters. So yeah, it's a big difference, yeah, for sure.
And for those of us that are above ground, and what is it like that deep? Does it change from, like, if you're 100 meters to how deep at the very bottom of the shaft?
So in the Sudbury Basin, the deeper you go, the hotter it gets, for sure. And I think that's typical of most places. So at 1,900 meters deep, we have a great big chiller plant, like a big air conditioning unit to blow cool air down to us. Yeah, and that's a massive feat of engineering as well, like the ventilation and the planning to put all that in, which we were quite a big part of as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And is there anything you can share with us about just the engineering team that makes this all possible at Cementation?
Yeah, so the group, the design group out of North Bay is they've done a really good job of putting it all together on prints and getting the procurement and everything all shipped to site. We have a field engineering team of young, more than capable guys they're like, I'd like to think that this will be the hardest project they ever work on, and everything else should be easy after this, but we'll see. I think that it opens up a lot of possibilities to other mines in the Sudbury Basin where we may end up going deeper and putting bigger stuff in, and we kind of know what we're capable of now. So I think it's a really good starting place.
Larry Fisher is the project manager with the Onaping Depth project with Cementation. Larry, thank you very much, and continued success.
Thanks.
Joining us is Jay Rutledge from Cementation Canada. Jay, tell us a little bit about your Kitikmeot Cementation Mining Development group that you have here.
So KCMD partnership started in 2005 between the Kitikmeot Corporation out of Cambridge Bay and Cementation Canada, located in North Bay, Ontario. We've had a partnership that has grown through time with a bunch of great people working on both sides of the coin to keep everybody moving forward.
It's I remember 20 years ago actually helping facilitate when you did the signing with this agreement with Kitikmeot. And 20 years later, just before we went on, you mentioned that 20 years later is incredible. So that relationship of trust that you've built over time, and probably incredible people that you've trained up, it must be something that Cementation is incredibly proud about.
We're extremely proud of the relationship we've created over the last 20 plus years, I guess now. We have done a number of training courses for new miners, created new miners out of Indigenous people across the Kitikmeot region. It's been very rewarding for both sides of the group.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about economically what it does for the Kitikmeot community when they become part of the solution of building mines.
I think it does a couple things. Not only is there an economic benefit to the community itself, but the people within the community who become part of the mining function can grow within the role at the project they're at. And as those projects end, they've now got a long-lasting skill that they can use at other projects across the cementation world.
I haven't seen all of them, but I'm sure over 20 years there's been these small little mom and pop companies where if it came from cleaning and catering to even bigger roles that they have within the whole mining development prospect, these little companies are probably pretty big companies today.
Yeah, there has been throughout the Kitikmeot Corporation partnerships across the globe. A lot of different pieces as mom and pop shops have turned into more sustainable programs. Within KCMD, we've had a number of employees over the course of the year, some of them who are still with us nearly 20 years later.
What is your hope going forward with Cementation and the development they're doing? And you're always involved with some incredible initiatives across the globe. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that's exciting that's happening now?
I think there's always something exciting happening within the cementation world. Some of those things we can talk about. Some of them we're not allowed to talk about. Right. We've just signed a long extension, KCMD and Diavik at the Diavik mine site, out through life of mine. We're hoping to find something in the closure side of that works as we go forward here.
That's great. Well, Jay, thank you very much for joining us today. I want to leave any final words that you wanted to say about your relationship with KCMD and Kitikmeot and what Cementation's doing, because you're one of the big cheeses there. You look after things. And so what would you like to wrap it up with?
I think the piece to wrap up is just, we've had a 20-year relationship built on trust and transparency, and we continue to build that relationship going forward here for the next 10, 15 plus years as we expand into different areas that we can help our partners at KC and the Kitikmeot Corporation.
Jay, thank you very much. Jay Rutledge is with Cementation Canada, and thank you for your time and have a successful show.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for listening to the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase podcast. The series is produced for the Echo Community Podcast Network by Story Studio Network and Clark Communications. For more information, visit our website, northbayecho.ca.